Are you one of those people who thinks they can actually do it all on their own, or do you really need help? I know that was definitely me, but I've decided to pivot, and actually it's the best decision that I've made. So if you've been following my series, I've been talking about 9 key steps in order for you to achieve a strong and powerful portfolio career. Now, for those of you who don't know who I am already, my name is Michael Tabirade, and I help ambitious professionals such as yourself navigate the change in this world in order for them to build a flourishing portfolio career. Now, the type of person I'm trying to help are independent portfolio consultants. What does that even mean? Somebody who can actually develop or find the right level of contracts whilst building other stuff on the side. And so, when talking about these 9 steps, I'll go through them very, very quickly. So they're split into 3 phases. Phase number 1 is all centered around the core phase. So this is centered around context around you in the market, making sure that you have the right contracts, and making sure that your cash is set up in the right way. So that's known as the core 3. The second phase is the growth phase. This is centered around content contribution, distribution, should I say, also centered around coaching and helping others, and also centered around community. So that's the growth phase. The third phase is centered around, again, leverage. So this is learning, this is scaling, all these different things. And so this is broken down into Codify, capability, which we're going to discuss today, and CEO mindset. And so when I go back and I think about my time as a program management consultant, I think to myself, what does program management consist of? And if we break it down into 4 key sort of like segments, we have scoping and initiation, we have planning, we have delivery, and we have close or transition. So when we think about the initiation and scoping phase, this is where you have an idea for a project, you speak to the right stakeholders, you try to get it approved, you develop some sort of business case, okay, or approval mechanism, and money is approved to enable you to go ahead with the rough plan that you've developed. Why am I saying this? As a founder, as a consultant, as an entrepreneur, as a creator, whatever you are, you need some money that you approve to use for your endeavors, so to speak. And so what happens then? Once there is approval, then you move on to the planning phase. And so this involves a whole host of stuff, which involves speaking to the right people, doing the research, all of that kind of stuff there to develop a solid plan. And so this plan will typically include a work breakdown structure, which is a list of activities that you organize sequentially, and then you assign resources to those different activities. And so when talking about resources, really we're talking about individuals who can deliver on those tasks. And so in this instance, when it came to me, I had an idea of what I wanted to do when it came to, again, developing the brand that I wanted to develop, producing the services and products I wanted to develop, but I needed resources for this. And in this instance, I have my virtual assistant who has been fantastic, who's been a great way of doing this. I previously had one in 2021 for 6 months. Circumstances changed, and I was able to get one at the back end of 2024 as well. And they've been with me ever since. And so what they do is they help me when it comes to the administration, but more so the marketing side of things. And they just rely on me to approve stuff. And so I know that actually my ideas and I guess my IP, should I say, it's more my IP, my intellectual property, cannot be replaced. And actually I know my tone of voice, so to speak, X, Y, and Z, with support from other tools as well. And so this person has helped with processes, automations, working out different strategies, having conversations, all that kind of stuff there. I've also been blessed where somebody has approached me also because previously they were part of some work I was doing with my personal development hangout last year, and they wanted to help me because actually they liked what I was about. So I've got a volunteer marketing analyst who looks at, again, my YouTube stuff, my Instagram stuff, my LinkedIn stuff, PR stuff, all that kind of jazz there. So I'm very grateful to have that additional person as well as the person that I'm commissioning as well. And so you have to think to yourself, is there anyone you can bring on the journey with you, or what does it cost in order for you to get at least a marketing assistant or I would say a virtual assistant that acts as an operator for you. And so when it comes to this stuff, what we typically do is we'll meet every single week. So I've even got a meeting after this video. And we will talk about progress updates, biggest challenges, any opportunities. And on a monthly basis, we have more of a strategic session where we think about, okay, what's gone well, what hasn't gone well, what are the wins, what are the losses, what can we do moving forward, what are the lessons learned, so that we can actually make this thing work. And so that's the culture that we're developing. Now, of course, there are different tools that I utilize in order for all of this stuff to work. So our sort of Google's our best sort of like suite of tools that we utilize. So we use Google Meet, we record sessions and upload it onto AI note takers and all that kind of stuff there. We also utilize Google Drive, which is a really, really good way of housing and organizing all of our documentation. We use Notion for our task management and project management. And again, the comments feature is really good for updating our status and different things, and Kanban build process and all that kind of stuff there. We also utilize WhatsApp for our central main way to communicate, which is really good. So I speak to them individually and as a group as well. And I guess those are the main things that I utilize to allow this system to work. But it required time to think about what's our workflow, what are we trying to do, all of that kind of stuff there. I'm not shy to use things like Google Sheets and all that kind of stuff there initially before we start upgrading into other stuff. And so what we did with the workflow element is when we were developing a workflow, we would record it. And once we finished recording it, that transcript will be put into Google Gemini. And of course, that will turn into an SOP, which we store into our Google Drive. We do, of course, use generative AI, and we mix between ChatGPT, which is great for troubleshooting, technical stuff, all of that kind of jazz. We use Gemini, which is more humanizing by nature, but we can interchange between the two. And we use Perplexity for research from time to time. And of course, we have produced either prompts, GPTs, and or gems, depending on what works best for us, because again, it speeds up the workflow process, but also the sort of like workflows we've produced as SOPs can help us produce agentic tools in the future, which we're not rushing to do right now, but it's something that is beneficial for sure. And so you can see, and I'm just looking at my notes to just see if there's anything I've missed. You can see that there's a whole host of things that having the right capability does in order to create leverage, because you don't want to be in the driving seat forever. You want to be the face, you want to be the brand, you want to say all the right stuff, etc., etc. But you need to bring other people in to enable it to work. So the way I've thought about this is first principles thinking. And maybe I'm not doing it strictly as first principles or whatever it may be, because I know a lot of people are saying that these days or have been. But essentially, what is the next logical step? Given the data and information I have right now, what is the next logical step? I want this thing. How do I get this thing? Who do I need to speak to? Okay, what has happened before, and what data has, what's the data say, should I say, in order for me to make a consolidated decision or the right decision or whatever it may be. You have to be experimental by nature is basically what I'm saying. And so stacking this stuff over time, it helps you develop a nice system. And that system is part of your capability. That system is part of your culture. You don't have to be that really, what's the word, over the top with some of this stuff, but you just need to start and have an idea of what things look like, and don't be afraid to spend money. Of course, you want to make money, but if you know, again, at the beginning, how much you're looking to commission, and if that doesn't eat into your bottom line, then that's all good. That's a good thing. That can only be a good thing. Take a gamble, take a risk, and get the support that you need. So hopefully this has given you a strong idea of how you can build your capabilities when developing this side of your portfolio career. If you want to see more things centered around independent consulting or portfolio careers, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to this channel, and hit the notification bell. And as always, my friends, understand, reach, and expand. Peace.